La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hi.
How are you?
Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Oh my God, look who it is.
Been a while. How you doing, Paul?
The legend himself.
Hi, can you hear me?
I'm supposed to ask 3 questions, is that right?
Look at you. Glasses, beard, long hair. Hey! How are
I
you?
know. Oh, my people.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Michael.
Hello.
Oh, hey, we're all together again.
Indeed.
Great. Long time.
What's going on with you guys musically right now? What's going on with you producing wise? What's going on recording wise? You guys are always bringing new music to the table. What's going on that way?
Right now, we're both on a holiday on different parts of Sweden.
Yeah.
But we've been, as everybody else, we got hit by the pandemic and we were in the middle of a tour. So we had to stop, just like everybody else, and do other things for a while and wait. And now we're kind of, making up for the lost shows, the shows that were canceled. So we've done a couple of tours in the US, right at the brink of the end of the pandemic, when it was still quite difficult to tour.
Yeah.
We have to live in your little bubble and can't go out, can't meet anyone. But we did 2 North American tours. But record-wise, we're still basically working, working for the record that we put out in 2019.
Was that the Steven Wilson one?
No, he was not involved in this one. We produced it on our own, basically, in Sweden.
It's called Incauda Venenum.
Yeah. So that's 2019, and it's still fairly new to us. So we haven't really started thinking about new stuff. Fredrik was involved working with the Europe guitar player, John Norum. The album's coming out, or is out, I think.
It's coming out in the fall, but it's a couple of singles out that I co-wrote with him. But
yeah.
I also did a session work. I did the guitars for the new Ghost album.
Ghost.
Michael's been busy writing movie scores for the series Clark for Netflix.
Yeah.
So we've been doing some different stuff, I guess. But also like to add that since this Incauda Venenum album came out 2019, we re-released it right now.
Yes.
Right before we're doing these summer festivals, and we had 3 original tracks that we didn't release the first time that's on this new version, which is hopefully we thought it might give it some extra life.
Yeah. The only time I ever did this at a concert in my life was you guys. I couldn't even believe it.
I saw it.
I did.
I remember it.
I was like,
Great.
It sounded so cool. You made my PA sound so cool. That was half of the Pink Floyd surround PA you were playing through, and it sounded
really
so cool.
Was it?
Yeah, that was half of the PA from the Pink Floyd used to use when they did the surround tours here in America.
Wow. You didn't tell us at the time, I think.
I know, I never said anything about it, but I bought it off the sound company, because what happened was they started to fly the PAs, and in those days they were stacks in each corner.
Right.
And so, these PA companies were taking one less semi because they had less gear. They could hang it in an array instead of stacking it up on the stage,
Oh.
That was a good, cool, and very, very memorable show for us, playing at the PRS Experience.
Well, you guys killed it. It was powerful and not too loud, and powerful and not too loud. It was really something. Very often those things will split your ears open, but this sounded like one monstrous record with a band playing it live. It was great. And the sound man loved the PA. Oh, I don't remember what his name was, but he goes, "Best PA we've used all tour."
That would have been the guy that we're still with, Olle.
Yeah.
Would have been him.
Yeah.
No, that was fun.
It was great fun.
My second greatest moment with you guys was we had a thing at NAMM, and Warren Haynes and Tom from the Doobie Brothers, Tom Johnston, and you guys, and Tony McManus, and all these guitar players from Aerosmith. God, all these people there. And Tony started losing it. And he's talking about, we're talking about, according to the BBC, the most gifted Celtic guitar player to ever live. And he looks at me and he goes, the only place that I could ever be in a line of artists with Opeth is at a PRS event. And he lost it. He thought it was awesome because you guys, they go to ask somebody a question and then ask you guys 10 questions. Then they ask somebody else a question, and all they want to do is ask you guys questions. It ended up being an Opeth press conference. Do you remember?
Yeah, of course. I remember because I was next to Miles Kennedy.
Yeah.
He was sat next to me, and he was nervous. And he was like, do you like doing these things? I was like, I don't know, never done one before. But there's all these guitar players, great guitar players of all sorts of styles, answering questions. We didn't expect anyone to know who we were, but yeah, some people
They didn't just know who you were. The only people they wanted to ask questions was of you. When Tom Wheeler listed all the credits that Tom Johnston had and all the *1 singles and Grammys and all that stuff, I remember Warren Haynes looked down the line and went, "Oh my God." I mean, it was just hit after hit after hit after hit after hit after hit that Tom had listed. I was really something to. You don't really know until somebody puts it all together, No.
I mean, that's incredible with some of these players. I'm not so well versed in like who plays where and on what record and what single, but like when you hear things like that, you're like, okay,
yeah,
that's awesome.
So tell me about the biggest gig you guys ever did, and tell me about the smallest gig you ever did. And if it was funny, that would be good too. Something entertaining for everybody who's watching.
We've done everything from small jazz clubs to Mexican restaurants in Salt Lake City. I remember that one, where people eating tacos as we're playing. We were standing like in a window, like in the windows, playing on a very tiny stage, and people were having enchiladas as we were playing.
That's great. And what was the biggest? And what was the biggest gig you ever did? That's a really small gig.
Do you mean biggest as a festival or on our own?
Yeah. How many people? Yeah, like Cal Jam 2 or something.
I mean, probably maybe we played a real big one recently, Hellfest in France, and it was maybe 60,000 people. And it was so warm. It was so hot. It was 43 degrees in the shadows.
Celsius would be equivalent to, I don't know.
But it was weird. It was sweating from our forearms,
How did it feel to walk out on the stage with that many people?
Hot.
Overwhelming.
People out there, it's just like a sea of people, and they're all kind of floating around like one big organism. So I was like, well, we just wanted to have our set done because it was so warm, like it was hard to breathe.
Yeah, we call
that. We had some red wine in our dressing room, and it was boiling.
Yeah, we call that in America sweltering.
Sweltering.
Yeah. Okay.
But festivals, festival shows. Sorry.
I'm sorry. You're sweating profusely. It's just water everywhere.
Yeah. Before you even go up on stage, we were like sweating. But festivals are like, I don't count them as our shows, even if we're, in front of a lot of people. We haven't done like super big arenas. So, I mean, we played Wembley Arena once. But we've done some nice
Red Rocks.
Red Rocks we've done. Opera House in Sydney, we've done that. Royal Albert Hall, those kind of places. They hold, I don't know how many people they hold, but it's like more the setting for us than the sea of people, even if that doesn't hurt. But festivals, I think you just pushed on stage and pushed off stage pretty much, and try to make the best of it while you're up there.
Red Rocks was weird because it was so warm during the day, but nighttime it was freezing. It was probably 2 degrees or something, and there was a storm coming about in the middle of the set, so we had to have a couple of guys hanging in the video screens because they were about to, blow away basically.
Away, yeah.
It was interesting, but it came out pretty cool.
It was filmed and recorded, but
yeah,
you can't see that we're suffering up there, but we were.
Suffering.
Yeah, suffering.
I was so cold for the hands doing some more flashy licks. I'm not going to pull this off. But somehow it worked out. So
I understand that the echo in that place is extraordinary sounding. There's an echo off the walls, right?
I think so. There was like a what's it called? Like a bouncy type of echo, which I always think sounds good for the snare. I was like that. What's the biggest and smallest show you've done?
Huh?
What's the biggest and smallest show you've done? Salt Lake City.
We just played it at the Forum of all weird things, but it wasn't full yet with a band called Mana. But I got to play a bunch of shows with Mana. I was the sit-in kid. They were touring in Spain, and we were playing to 20,000 a night. That was kind of fun. But the smallest gig, I've been to gigs where there were 3 people. There's a saying in Texas: a dump full of people is a palace, and a palace with nobody is a dump.
Yeah. I like the small shows. We did, like when you asked, now I remember, the smallest show we've done is a pub in England. It was in High Wycombe, England. And the pub was called the Dark Horse or the White Horse or something like that. And it was literally a drunk guy and his dog, that was it. And we played a 20-minute song there, or like as much as we remembered of the 20 minutes.
Did the dog howl?
No, his dog fell asleep. And the drunk guy too. But that was a long time ago.
Not even going to pay for gas in the truck to get there.
No, I don't think anybody knew that we were playing there. And we had like 2 records out then.
It's terrible.
Yeah, but Steve Wilson, since you mentioned him, because I mentioned this show to him, and he went, well, I can beat that, because we played a well-announced show for one of their big albums, and they were like a big band, and 0 people came to the show. No one.
Oh.
Did they play the show anyway?
I can't remember if they did. I think they had to play something for the contract or something like that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we went to China, and we played in China, and we learned the most famous Chinese song in English. And it was like an opera. It was operatic. The melody was operatic, And the people stood in the audience, and they would turn their heads. And when they finally realized they were listening to their favorite childhood song in English, they just would start beaming. But it took them about a third of the tune to figure out what the hell was going on, right?
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Was it this with the same band?
Yeah, well, it's our band, yeah. It was interesting. Yeah. But that was our trick to go play in China. We played them their song in English.
Maybe you need to do that in China. We've been there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Small shows and not a lot of people coming out. But we haven't played a cover of a Chinese famous song either.
Yeah, it's a heartbreak tune, Butterfly Love. I can't remember the exact thing. There's a DJ in China named Yodai, and if he plays your music, the whole country knows about your stuff. And you should meet Yodai. Maybe sometime I'll give you his information. He would love to have you guys on. Love it. He would die to have you guys on. He's great. You should look him up.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind to go back there, but we played tiny clubs there with not a lot of people.
You seem so even, Michael. Did any of these gigs piss you off? I mean, you just seem so even. It's like, we played for nobody. We played for dog. We played for 20,000. It was hot. You couldn't see how miserable we were. I mean, it's so grounded with the way you're approaching this.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, Paul. No, but it's what it is. I mean, once you're up there, what can you do? I mean, I remember playing, we've done some, of course, done some really, really nice shows, but those tend to kind of be lost in, you kind of don't remember them as much as you remember the really shitty ones. Or when there's nobody there. You remember those shows, and then you do like in front of thousands of people who just love, hang by everything that you do.
Yeah.
And the next day, like, what did I do yesterday? I can't remember. But I remember playing 10 years ago to nobody.
Yeah.
Or one guy who hated us.
Well, look, I have news for you. You guys have a lot of PRSs. Why don't you take one each of the ones that sit in the rack more than others and send them to me, and I'll leapfrog it as your best one, and then I'll work on them. I asked for this job to help you, and you guys have been so generous with me. I'd love to give some time back. We've learned a lot.
Well, you perfected them a long time ago, as far as I'm concerned.
No.
Yeah.
I know a guitar, Paul, that I that I got a long time ago, a Modern Eagle.
Yeah. Perfect one.
Yes, and I remember you saying like people were crying when we sent that guitar. Oh, don't send it, keep it here. No, we have to send it his. And I love that. I played it on a DVD at Albert Hall, actually. I think I played that one, or maybe I can't remember, Roundhouse. But what I would like to have done to that guitar, which may be or may not be Abomination type of an idea, but since we now use the P24s with the piezo in the bridge, and this doesn't have that, meaning I can't tour with that guitar as much as I would like to.
You would have the only Modern Eagle with a piezo. I think we can do it.
I have a P24 that's one of my mains. I use about 5, maximum 6 guitars live, since we have a couple of different tunings. And but that one is great. But as you said, you can make great even better. I don't have any problem with it though. But it will be interesting to see what you mean.
Sure, I'm not going to hurt it.
No, it's pretty beaten up because I've played hundreds of shows with it.
As far as I remember, Paul, you like when the guitars are beaten up.
I love it.
Yeah, because I had a Starla, or I have a Starla, that I used to, play with the crash cymbals on the drum kit. So the tuning heads were all bent out of shape. And I remember I was a bit nervous. I was going to ask you or Beverly, like, is it possible that you can sort this out for me? And I was like, are they going to be angry? I'm smashing up their guitars. But I remember that you were like, yes, you were happy.
Yeah, I was happy.
Yeah.
Look,
and that's imperfect.
I take my guitar and I hold it up, and Greg plays drums on the strings, and it sounds wild. And when he does it, sometimes the strings will put a dent in the frets. I don't care, because what he just played was so cool. To have somebody play drums on the strings, oh God, it's such a cool sound. I just hold the guitar. Oh, huh?
I never heard that. That's new to me.
All right, so we had 2 tricks. Well, that was one trick. Let the drummer play on the guitar, right? The other one was we would throw the guitars at each other and switch guitars. So you would give, Michael your guitar, and he would give you his guitar, and you guys would play, and then you switch back and shake your heads and wave the other guy off, as if you were pissed. You wanted your own guitar back. And people love that too.
Yeah, I've played Fredrik's guitar a couple of times. I have like a higher action, I think, generally than Fredrik has, because he's the lead player, and I just play whatever. But they're like, every time I play one of his guitars, it's like, oh, it's so nice. I like this one. But also like the high action.
What would be funny is not to give it back. Say, listen, you ain't getting it back, right? I mean, the crowd eats that stuff like food.
I could do that.
I like the crowd getting involved in an argument on stage. It's just good fun.
Oh, I used to do something that you may or may not like with. I haven't done it in a while, but I used to send one of my guitars, a PRS. I think I played the signature I did with you guys. I used to give it to the crowd and tell them to let it float around the room.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it would come back to me. I was like, don't steal it. You know, nobody ever did. It just took like a big whole circle in you know, whatever theater we're playing, and then came back to me and played it again.
I think it's brilliant. It was out of tune when it came back, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
People can't.
It was fun.
Forget about that. That's a great trick.
You should do it. I think it's great. So, is there any of this gear that's behind me you guys covet?
It's like some compressors. Some, what is that on right behind you? The two gray ones. That would be like some type of.
They're mastering LA2As.
Okay. I don't know much stuff about gears. Fredrik is the gear buff.
Is there any Universal Audio old stuff there?
Yeah, a bunch of that old.
And the UAD stuff.
Yeah. There's some old reverbs. There's the kind of Queen reverb and the Peter Gabriel reverb, and
I remember your old big plate reverbs you have.
Yeah, I sold them. Yeah.
You sold them? Okay.
I ended up with the digital ones. I found a reverb that they used on Thriller. I found an old it's an old EMT digital reverb that I just adore. Works on a vocal.
Is that one of them bigger boxes?
This is the controller. Rats here. Hold on a minute.
Oh man.
Okay.
It's a 252. It's the R2D2, but in a 5-space rack. I don't know. Listen, I've built a recording studio here, which I begged you to come record in, Fredrik. So I didn't get.
We were in there.
I know, but I never got you guys to come and do guitar tracks here, which is what I wanted. Someday.
No, we haven't.
That would be amazing.
Someday.
I remember some massive speakers you had, which I think were for like hi-fi system.
Yeah, that's right. They're called Dunlobby 6s. They're sitting in front of me.
They were taller than us.
Yeah.
They're like.
Yeah.
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 I like that.
There's 4 sets of speakers here that we switch between, so that no matter where you are, whether you're on a cell phone or whatever, that it translates. The mixes translate. The problem with one set of speakers is what sounds in the studio never quite sounds like what it was when you came home. And this place, I finally got it to translate it. What you hear in this room is what you hear on a cell phone or any studio, any speaker. So that's cool. I like that part.
Yeah, that's always helpful. You spend a lot of time setting up the sound, and then you listen through the speakers, and it's like, sounds weird. Well, that's how I am. Well, like Fredrik is more like he knows how to like put the microphones in front of the 4x12 and that kind of thing.
Not really. I just go.
Yeah, you did.
Just have the trick, the old Eddie Van Halen trick. You did one face and the other one cone, the classic trick you do. But usually the engineer is doing it, but I like to keep an eye on everything. Yes.
Fredrik loves to A/B.
A/B tests.
ABC. Well, the whole alphabet actually for you, like the whole alphabet. Try everything, and I'm like, let's go already.
And after a while, when you've done a few albums doing that, you can take out some stuff and save some time. It's no need to test that particular amp or thing.
Yeah, well, I finally have a rig here. Once I put the mic up on, I'm done. I have the same experience finally. It works every time.
What do you play with?
Well, I have an amp, an MDT amp, and a 212 cabinet, and an old Shure SM7. And then I plug it into an old RCA mic pre, and it comes up the same every single time I get a good tone.
Nice.
Just kind of works. After years and years and years and years of failing, I found one combination like Fredrik's talking about that works every single time. So look, don't be strangers. You guys, I know we're separated by a big round ball of stone with a liquid middle, but it'd be real nice to see you again and have food and work on guitars and get feedback and all that stuff.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, we would love to. It's been way too long.
Yeah.
We hang out. We've hung out so much over the years.
Yeah, well,
the dinners that we had. I remember, Paul, that when you did the Angelus, when you had that coming out, the acoustic PRS, and I'm like, okay, I want one of those. How am I gonna twist Paul's arm to get one?
You've never called me and asked me for one ever.
No, I remember what happened was that you took us out to dinner. It was great dinner, good food. I think it was the Italian restaurant. But I kept ordering wine, even though I knew that you were paying for it. I was like, oh, another bottle. Bring it in. And I was like, hey, Paul, you want a glass of wine? You know, pour in your glass. And then, you know, after a while, I went in for the kill. And you were like, okay, Paul, can I have one of them? And you kept looking at me for what felt like an eternity. And then you wrote something on a napkin, handed it to Beverly. And lo and behold, I got my guitar.
Does it need come back to Papa and get adjusted?
No. That's fucking perfect. Perfect.
Luckily enough, I got one of them too. And I've been using it on every album. It's just, I did a submission.
We toured
live. Yeah, we toured with those. And, you know, acoustic guitar bumping up around on the road.
Yeah.
Because I believe it's 2 truss rods in the neck. They were always in tune. They're very trustworthy. And I've been using it on every album. I used it on this new Ghost album. And they were totally blown away. He had a bunch of Martins there in the studio. And this one just killed it.
I don't even know if I have a truss rod of mine.
Bev is listening to this and she's going to be beaming, I know. Thank you for being on. These things are well watched. I really appreciate our relationship. Anyway, don't be a stranger. I'm sorry Frankfurt kind of isn't happening the way it was, which put us together all the time. But we haven't had an experience in a long, long time. COVID shut us down too.
Yeah, everyone.
All right. Love in my heart, guys. Thanks so much for being on. Here we go. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Paul, for everything.